Okay, Leslie, do you want to share your screen then? I think.
Let me share. And let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so can I start right away or?
You can introduce yourself.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
say a little bit what are you doing, what are you, where you come from, or whatever you feel that you want to.
Okay. So my name is Leslie. I was born in Ecuador, but I live in Barcelona for most of my life since I was 6. And I'm working as a software engineer for a company that's an e-commerce platform. And I've been coding since 2019. I did a bootcamp. I found my first job, and then I moved to different companies, mainly as a front end at the beginning, and now I'm doing both, front end and back end, mainly using JavaScript frameworks like Vue or React, and then in the back end with Node. But my background is not related to programming. I did my bachelor in chemistry, so completely different. And yeah, that's my first time presenting. And I'm gonna give you an introduction about JavaScript. And let me know if you have any question at any moment. We can stop and discuss your questions or doubts.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, I'm not sure if all of you know about JavaScript, but here is the overview. What I will be talking about today. We're gonna see what is JavaScript and why we have to learn it. We are gonna start with basic concepts like variables, data types, operators, conditionals, functions, and a bit of a DOM manipulation. So if you're new to web development, I would recommend to first start with HTML and CSS, because these two are also the pillars for the web development. And then after you know a bit about HTML and CSS, you can start with JavaScript, which is a programming language that allows us to add interactivity to web pages. Things like form validation or adding events to buttons, things like that. It's primarily used for front-end development, because this is also required. To know JavaScript is required to move and try frameworks like Vue, React, or Angular. It's good to have a basic knowledge of JavaScript, because these frameworks are built on top of it. And then it's also a programming language that can be used on the server side using Node.js. And this language is relatively easy to learn for beginners, and also has a community that really, it's a wide community, and you can get help. And probably if you found an issue, you can Google it, and it's easy to get the solution for the problem. Then the basic concepts about JavaScript, I consider that the main ones are the variables and data types. We can define variables as the containers of data, of values, and these values can have different types of data. In JavaScript, we have 8 types of values, or data types, sorry. And what I mean by data types, like strings, which are for text, for example, numbers, booleans, means true or false, Then we have specific ones like null, which is specifically for like an empty value without having a value. Undefined, that it's when you declare a variable but it's not, doesn't have a value. Then we have other ones that I right now I don't remember, but there are like 8 types, 7 primitives and objects, things like arrays or objects itself. Not sure if you know about the concepts or if I should go more in deep about the data types, but we can also see later in the demo. And then we have the operators, mainly for arithmetic use, like sum, abstractions, multiplication, things like that. Then we have conditionals, structures of code that verifies an expression and it returns something or not, depending on if the condition it's met or not. And then we have functions, like a block of code to execute some steps, to do some tasks or some calculation and return something. Normally functions receive parameters like input, and then it returns some value. And here, how we can start working and understanding more about JavaScript. The basic thing to start with, it's with the console in a browser. So there's, you can right click anywhere on the page, and then you will see this menu. You go to the inspect. Here in a moment we will check together. So we can go here inside Google, right click, and then we see the inspect here. This is the console. There are different ways of putting here on the side, or there are different ways, but just for, oh, sorry, I'm gonna stay with this here. So here we have the console. Here we can start using JavaScript and understanding a bit more about the variables, the data types. I'm not sure if there are some questions, because I see there are 3 in the chat, but I'm not sure if I...
No questions. You can
no.
continue. Just kind of trying to understand the audience, but you can keep looking. If there is anything, I can tell you.
Okay, so we can start by checking the variables. So I prefer constants and variables, the way to define my variables. So we use the word let, and then we set them. We can use any word that we want to store our value. So in that case, let's say my variable is day, and I can set Monday as the value. So then there's a way of checking what's inside the variable, and in this case is console log day. Then I can see the value of the variable. It's Monday. If I declare this variable as with the keyword let, I can change the value of it. So I can say now day it's gonna be Friday, and then now the value it's Friday. It's not gonna happen the same if we use the keyword const, because as the name it says, it's a constant, so shouldn't change. So here, if I define, I need to change the name of the variable, because otherwise it's gonna give an error, because we cannot reassign a variable that it's already defined. So here, if I say Friday and I try to change it, this is not gonna work. It's gonna give me an error. Because we're trying to assign to a constant variable. We're trying to change the value and it's a constant, so it's not allowed. Okay, so we have seen here one data type. In this case, if you see it's a string, so it's text. Then we have other ways of other data types that I was mentioning before. So I can set my variable to price and then to any number, and this is gonna be data type of type number. Then there's also the for the Boolean. For example, we can have, well, it's better to have this. So we can have this variable, sorry, being a Boolean. What else do we have? We have strings, numbers, Booleans. Then, as I mentioned earlier, if we declare a variable but we don't assign a value, what is gonna give is undefined because it has no value. But if we define as null, then the variable is gonna be null. So it's different. This means the value itself is empty, it's null. And if we declare a variable but we don't assign anything, it's gonna be undefined. So there are different data types. Then we have another type of data types, like the array that I was mentioning before. And an array, it's using the brackets. You can store different things, like here, an array of days. So here you can set an array of different days. And this is what we call an array. This has different methods. I'm not sure, we are not gonna cover all of them, but if you check for array methods in MND, sorry, Mozilla webpage, you can find more. So here, what we can do here, for example, for the array, it's using another thing that I wanted to explain. It's the loops. So here, if we have an array, now it's only 2, but imagine you have a long array with many elements. So you can define a loop and check each of the elements inside doing a for loop. That's what it's called here, until length. This is also, I haven't explained. The length gives us the number of elements. So here would be 2 because we have 2 elements in this array. These also we can use to check how many letters a string has, for example. And then, so here in the for loop, we can, here what it means is that we are gonna go, we have defined a variable a, and here we are gonna go until the length of this array, increasing it by 1 each time. So it's gonna be, the length is gonna be 2. So here 0, the indexes for the array, it's 0 and 1. So here, if I console log, the way to access an array, it's with these brackets and defining the index. That's what I was mentioning before.
I guess you have to initialize E if we equals
yes.
0.
Yeah, I forgot it, yes. So here you can see that you got the two names for the day, the 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, I forgot to initialize. So I was explaining here that if we don't initialize, we get undefined. So here we need to initialize, and then we are gonna go by each element until the length, until the I variable is equal to the length. Okay, what else? I was trying, I wanted also to explain about conditionals. So a conditional, it's a way of checking a condition, and if we met the condition, then we can do more things. Like for example, if we can check if my variable day, well, now it's price. Well, we can check with price. If my variable price is greater, here are the operators that I wanted also to discuss, and better to have an example to explain. So if price bigger than 20, sorry, so if price is bigger than 20, this is the we can do something like in a real case example would be, imagine you have you are in a supermarket and you have a discount if you spend more than 20 euros. So here you would have the logic to implement the discount if the price is greater than 20. But just for checking, so if price is greater than 20, we can just console log. You have a discount. Here you can have this condition and that's it. Or we can have the second part, that's the else part. So if it doesn't meet the requirement, we are console log a different thing. Like you don't have a discount. Okay, so price here, as we said before, it's 23, so it's greater than 20, and it's gonna have the discount. So here we can implement more logic, but just for learning purposes, I didn't implement anything. I'm going back to the presentation because I was telling you about the variables and data types, operators, conditionals, and then I didn't remember I had to talk also about the functions. And also, as I was mentioning before, sorry. As I was mentioning before, here you have the operators normally are for arithmetic purposes. So here, if you have a function, for instance, you can create a function for some numbers. So here, as I was mentioning, a function takes some parameters. So let's say param1 and param2, and inside the body of the function, we can do something like param1 plus param2. But we need to return it because a function needs to take some input and also return. And here how we will use it will be using the name of the function, because when we declare the function, the keyword is function, and then following is the number that you are giving to the function. So here you use the name of the function and the numbers that you want to sum. So an easy example would be 2 plus 2 equals 4. And then you can have also not only for this type of operations, but you can have for multiplication or for other things. So you can have, this is the operator for multiplication. So here, if you do the multiplication, and you use will be 12. I mean, it's the way of using functions. Then this is the easiest way to start playing with JavaScript, seeing how this is used and everything. But there are other ways to use JavaScript, as I was about to explain in the presentation. So here we've been using the console in the browser, but then there's another way of using, and it's when you have a project with an HTML file and also a CSS file. You can combine these two with JavaScript to add the interactivity to the web page and not to be a static page. And here, these are the steps, but we can check also in a demo. If you have worked with HTML and CSS, you know that you create a specific file for HTML and then another one for CSS. The same goes for JavaScript. And we finalize the document name putting .js. And the way to link this JavaScript to our page is adding the script to the HTML. So just before closing the body tag, we're gonna set the script tag, and inside the source is gonna be where our file is placed. And then what we can do also, if we want to start bit by bit, it's just not have this source, but just inside both tags, the starting one and the closing one. Here in the middle, we can play around with some code as the one that we were using in the console. But if we want to use the file, it's a more structured way to do it and more scalable. It's also fine. And this is just an example of code that you can use. So here we're gonna see now here inside this code sandbox. If you have used, I'm not sure if you have used this or not, but here it's a good place to start also. Here there's the HTML. So here it's a simple structure with the body, and just before the closing tag, we have here the script tag and the source. So in my case, the index.js file is the one for my JavaScript code. And yeah, so that's the way to link the JavaScript to the HTML. And here, if you have seen here, I'm setting the headline to be hello world. but if you see in the browser, it says hello JavaScript. And here it's because to give you an example of the power of JavaScript, I have set the text content to be a different one. So this is the way, this is about DOM manipulation that we were about to talk. So let's see first what I have here to share with you. So the DOM manipulation, and what is the DOM what's the DOM? First of all, so it's the document object model, and it's in simple terms, it's like the structure of the page. Like we have the body, we have different elements, tag elements. So these elements can be manipulated, and we can interact with them through JavaScript, using JavaScript. So we can access them, modify or update these elements. JavaScript itself provides some of the methods. So we can select elements and change the content attributes and style of them, as I was sharing here with you. Here I have the document. This represents the whole, I'm not sure how to explain this, to be honest, but this is the way to get this H1 element. So we use document dot, then the method is query selector. And the selector here, it's the name of the element that we want to get. In this case is H1. And then I'm changing the context, the text content inside this element. So here, if I set this to hello everyone, I save it. Second. I'm not sure why it's happening. Okay, let me try again because I don't know why. No, I'm not sure what happened before. So here you can change the text of the H1 element to set to anything you want to put. And also you can have here there's the console here, and you receive the sum, what was 2 plus 2, so 4 here. So you can have also here the console. Here you can have playground with everything, with the HTML, the CSS. So it's a nice place to start with. And then there's also a nice page for this to check. That's the W3 schools. Here, for example, I was checking about the DOM manipulation. So here there are different elements. There's the get element by ID, in case you have set to the element the ID. This is a different way to get the element. And then also you have inner HTML. In my case, I was using a different one, but it was the same. And you can try it yourself here. So here it's the get element by ID method. Then we have the inner HTML. There's more explanation here. And also you can play around. You can create also elements from JavaScript. You can remove them, or even add event handlers for a button, for example. So here, where's the? here the events, because that's something also nice to see. So here, for example, you can use this, try it yourself. And if you run the, if you click on this text will change to say to this, oops, here. Because we have set the on-click event. Normally this on-click event happen on buttons, but you can also use them in different elements. And here you can set the on-click to a function. And this function is declaring in the script. As I was saying before, you can have this script here and then your JavaScript content in between both the starting and the closing tag, or you can have this in a different file. But as this is just for this function, you can have it here. So it's easier. But when your code starts growing, you will have to move it to a different file for maintainability. So here you can play with this. You can set this to a different thing, and you can see it clearly here what is happening. Then there's also for things like the color or events like animations. This is this is, I think, using JavaScript or even functions. This is how you will create a function and get the element and then use the element to style. So here, if we see, if we can try to understand what is this function doing. So if we click, so here we are getting the element by ID, the ID animate, it's for this square in red. And what this is doing, I think this is a function, and inside it has another function. And the position at the beginning starts at 0. And then if we have this position as 0 at the beginning, then here in the condition, we're gonna be in the else side, and we're gonna add to this position. And there's also the interval. So the set interval, this is gonna make this function go in an interval of 5 seconds. And this is what is happening at the beginning. And when it reaches the 350, it clears and it stays here. And at the beginning, it starts with 0 because this function, that's my move, sets it to 0 again each time we click it. So there are interesting things that we can do with JavaScript. But as a beginner talk, I'm not gonna go really deep into this. I'm not sure if there are more things that I can share. I was trying to, I thought about having interaction with you, having questions, having some different things to do. We can also inspect a real website like Women Who Code. So here we were checking how to change the color, if we can. So we can see here this for the HTML. This we're gonna see. This one is for the H2 element. So in the console we can get this document.get element by tag name. If we use the tag H2 at the beginning, let me check one. Yeah, this one, it's a nice thing to see now. Here it's in an HTML collection because we have more than one element H2. So we have 3 H2 in this document. So here I will access the first one. As I mentioned before, we can access an element inside an array using the square brackets and the index that we want. The index always starts from 0. So here the first one, it's the index it's 0, and here I can use the style property and the color. So I can set this to green. And then you can see here it's green. So not only with these tools like this code sandbox or here doing this, but in real cases, in real websites, we can also use JavaScript on the console and test ourselves the code. I'm not sure if I'm missing something. I don't have much to talk about. If you need me to go deep in different things,
does anyone have any question? Because I mean, as you said, as an introductory talk, it was really nice. All the details and the hands-on part of the browser and everything. I think it was super nice. Does anyone want to say anything, or otherwise we can stop the presentation now and just take the time to have a chat and see what can we do together as part of the group. So no saying, let me, okay.